welcome to this segment of Between Two Ferns. I'm Justin Boggs. I'm your moderator today. I'm Chief Revenue Officer at Marketplace Valet. I'm surrounded by two brilliant multi-channel sellers and fulfillment-related experts. We got Will Land. He's the CEO of Marketplace Valet, a company that helps brands go direct-to-consumer on marketplace channels around the world. And we have Jean Francois, who is head of commerce development at Ingram Micro. His specialty on the side is he's a consultant with big brands, and he helps to increase acquisition by adding additional channels. So if you want to tune in to either one of these guys, find them on LinkedIn. So it's following up on some conversations we've been having about growth and helping brands grow in 2019, and some hacks and tools and softwares that they can use to do that. Let's talk about maybe some of the sinister things that happen when you have loose distribution and you've built your brand up and you kind of are selling to everyone, and that top line number is growing, but then stuff like map violation happens.
Right.
So, Will, if you don't mind, I'd like to hear your feedback on some of the brands that are coming to Marketplace Valet. What are the problems that they're having, and what are you doing to help them solve those problems?
Like we talked about earlier, loose distribution leaves a lot of area for resellers, retail arbitrage guys to come in there and pick up your products, flip them for a buck. Not caring about the brand or not having a vested interest in the brand. They're just out there to make a quick dollar. And so it's easier to go, if you're a brand that's starting up, one of my biggest recommendations that I so strongly encourage is make sure that you have distribution agreements, reseller agreements, ironclad with a map arrangements, so that you can hold someone accountable. At the same time, restrict where some of these resellers and distributions can sell your products. You've got to have control over your distribution. Otherwise, what happens is these guys pick up your products and you're going to find them all over eBay and Amazon at deeply discounted prices. So, to avoid that, there's quite a few things that you really need to do besides having your agreements in place. One is make sure that you're trademarking your property. I think that's a really big one that gets forgotten about when you're creating a brand. You could probably do it on LegalZoom, a couple $100. Trademark your product, not the logo. It's a word mark. Trademark, what the term of your brand. That's super important. For protecting your images, your logos, things like that, you don't need to file for copyright on those. Those are already copyrighted because you're the creator of them. Right. But just being aware that you have copyright ownership on your content, on your images, on your logos. If you're the creator of those, know that you have that, and that's an enforceable thing. If you have a unique product that qualifies for a patent, invest the money in it. You've got to get the patents done. And yeah, they're expensive. But what sucks even more is when you create a product and you have 50 fast follows. Guys that just go, take your product, send it to China, have it manufactured, and beat you and outmarket you.
So a number of folks that come to us, like, that's the problem they have. They have these fast followers that grab you blankets. Like I think ancillary groups are coming to us like, hey, we sell density blankets, and if something's not protected with some actual IP behind it, then you get the fast follows. And they're the ones that are getting all the sales, kind of saturating the market before the brand, the originators.
We see that a lot with crowdfunders because it's ripe for it, right? You have a launch strategy like that Jeff Walker launch strategy, which is build up a buzz to a captive audience, then launch to that audience. But by the time you're ready to launch to that audience, somebody steals your buzz and rides that.
Because people are seeing in a very visual way, like, what's
saying,
popular.
Here is the product I'm inventing. Exactly. Look at everybody. Look at this product. And you've got trolls that are just waiting for the next big thing to come out, and they're like, I like this. It's getting a lot of attention. Manufacturers, here it is. Make this. Boom.
People always have this. What is it? oh, I don't know if this product will sell. Like, you have an idea, you don't know if it will sell. Or they have this inclination of, oh, there's too much saturation in this market. I don't think I want to compete there. But the truth is, if somebody is buying in a market, that means there is a market. So when you don't trademark and copyright your stuff, you're essentially creating a market for someone else to come.
You're paving the way.
Yeah.
You are literally paving the way for somebody else's success.
Yeah.
Going back to the unauthorized sellers, I think what's really important to know about unauthorized sellers, especially when it comes to marketplaces, is, there's an integrity of the product that needs to be protected at all times. If you don't know who's selling your product, are there warranties? Is the warranty still come with the product? If what's the difference between somebody buying your product and selling it at a garage sale or selling it on eBay or Amazon as a third-party seller? The biggest thing, especially in electronics, is the manufacturer's warranty, which, if you go and you buy a product at a garage sale, is that product registered? Like, I bought this product and I'd like to register it for a warranty. And typically what happens is the brand's gonna say, well, show us the receipt, proof of purchase, those things. And if they can't provide that, then there is no warranty.
Right.
So, and as a yard sale, it doesn't really matter because, you're just buying it as is. But when you're talking about eBay and Amazon, you're assuming that product's coming with a warranty. And when you go and take that receipt to the manufacturer's website and, register the product, you can say, oh, I bought it from Jimmy Smith 123 on Amazon. And they're going to say, well, come on. So, and that's a very gray area for trademark, or for, I usually refer to that as trademark infringement because it's somebody selling a product, implying that it's brand new, which means that it would come with a manufacturer's warranty. Like I said, it's a very gray area here, and it's kind of the wild, wild west. But that should be a like new product because it might not necessarily come with warranty. And what we really do is we're able to communicate that with Amazon or eBay or whatever marketplace in a way that shows that it's not about, it's more about this person is violating policies. It's not about their, if you tell Amazon this person's, infringing on my trademark, there's a good chance that Amazon's going to say, well, go deal with them. That's your distribution problem. But if you can show them a way that they're violating policy, that's where the marketplaces really start to enforce things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you? Any advice for brands that say have some great distribution in Walmart, and then sometimes they're shocked to find out that someone's selling it somewhere else? Like,
yeah, I think Will's definitely the expert here, but I've had some experiences with brands where they go to Walmart. Let's not say Walmart. They go to a marketplace or specifically a sales channel, retail.com sales channel, and they're engaged with a buyer, and the buyer says, "Hey, we already have this SKU in stock," and they're unaware, right?
wow,
They don't know. So that's where it gets gnarly. It's not really with the smaller sales channel because I feel like there's enough of a high touch point with the smaller sales channel where you can talk to the buyers, you can call the CEO, you can figure it out. With the bigger sales channels, I feel like that's where there's the danger because A, there's volume, right? So you have somebody else selling your product on that channel, you're missing out on margin potential if it's actually your product and not a fake. So you're definitely getting cut out of that, right? In terms of going to that channel, capturing that price, wholesale or whatever you're selling it to them for. And then there's frankly, guys that ripped you off because they went to China and represent themselves as to buyers. Because the thing is, I really don't feel that most buyers, unless you are a truly recognized brand and a massive top of the funnel awareness, I feel like the due diligence, these buyers are overworked. Their departments are overworked. They can't onboard vendors fast enough. So I feel like sometimes the due diligence on the buyer side isn't quite where the market needs it to be because of the ballooning of counterfeits and the ballooning of black market resellers.
So right, Amazon has published this in their quarterly reports that
Yeah.
they're like, we have a counterfeit problem. Like
Yeah.
we literally can't police it. It's too big. In our series and discussion on helping brands grow, we've touched on retailers, technology, marketplaces, the good and bad and ugly of what happens once you get on those things and have those pieces in place. And to kind of round this out, I'd like to maybe get more specific on some of the technology solutions that you guys advise brands to take advantage of. In particular, Shipwire.
Yeah.
Financing, because like obviously if you're a brand and you catch lightning in a bottle and you're growing fast, man, you need money to like actually manufacture these products. So like in this day and age with fast growth and like kind of like international presence for brands, even the smallest ones, what kind of tools and technologies are helpful to get these brands going?
Well, thanks for the question. I think on the direct-to-consumer side, there are a ton. I mean, there's so many platforms to choose from shopping carts, obviously Shopify. I think there was a recent survey, 99.3%, or no, it was 93% of online sellers and online brands would rather use Shopify than any other shopping cart platform. That's deep market penetration, right? And I mean, it depends on the brand and it depends on the functionality you need for your business, but I mean, that's an obvious one. And you got to move towards, think about what functions you're outsourcing, right? Or hiring a platform to do for you. Shopify is great at, not just Shopify, but other out-of-the-box shopping carts are great at capturing customer data, easily building websites and checkout flows, workflows to acquire customers and maintain that customer base. And then you have order management tools. Shipwire is one of them. Stitch Labs and others are in the space. Coupona as well, depending on the size and where you at. What's up, Chad? And there is inventory management, which Shipwire plays there as well as a full stack platform for fulfillment. And, other players in the market as well do very well with inventory management. I feel like specifically if you are a multi-channel retailer, multi-channel seller, multi-channel brand, one of the key things you're going to need is that inventory management piece has to be tied down, it has to be locked in, and that ties into your fulfillment. And I think that's where, like, I'm not trying to plug Ingram or Shipwire. I feel like let's be agnostic for a quick second and think, like, there's so many technologies that are almost commoditized. There are things like fulfillment and front-end things like marketing and agencies that you work with where one makes sense over another. The good, fortunate thing I've had in working at Shipwire is that we've built such a broad enough stack to address so many needs because we have a SMB and mid-market platform that speaks to a lot of different players. We're able to play in different places, right? So it's good to have Shipwire. That's number one. Number two, I think fulfillment is a key. Even though fulfillment, we think of it, it is commoditized. There's no hiding behind the fact that it's only a finite group of transportation providers out there, carrier services. It's a box within a box. It's pick and pack and it's shipped. So if you find a provider that meets your price range and your SLAs and can play with the retailers the way you need it to play, or you do it yourself at a reasonable cost, I think that those are all considerations to have. And you can employ WMS services and I think like SKU Vault and all these other guys that are playing in that space for DIY warehousing. There's so many great technologies out there that choosing one is hard. I think you should evaluate them all based on your total functionality and your total stack.
That's great. Will, for the marketplace centric type folks out there, and there's many of them, there's millions of Amazon resellers, what can you say are some particular tools that you couldn't live without?
Tools I couldn't live without. Again, you already mentioned, we use and love Skibana. I think that's definitely a fantastic tool. I think everybody needs a repricing tool, a good repricing tool. And one thing I always recommend, what tool you're looking at, there's a lot of these, at least for like Amazon and the marketplaces, these tools that have all these different functionalities. Oh, I'm a repricer, I'm order management, I get feedback, I get product reviews. I like to focus on something that specializes on a tool, a tool that has a direct focus. I don't like the all-in-ones, because it's like, what do you really do well, and I like to pick and choose, like, okay, for instance, I really like Feedback 5 for, my product review solicitation, and I really like, whatever, Repricer Express for repricing. I don't want a big, out-of-the-box solution that covers everything.
Right.
BrandLock's software that I built that goes and finds, you plug in your ASINs and it'll tell you all the all the sellers on your product. I think that's a tool that's awesome. We built it, but anything that gives you those insights, the data, the key points, there's shipping addresses or whatever that you need to build it and market your business. Those are the ones that we're to really focus on.
And nowadays, I think there's a community of brands out there, sellers, brands, e-commerce operators that are super open about giving feedback, right? And if you think about things in the framework of like Clay Christensen's jobs to be done framework, like we all hire a software to do a specific job for us that we can't do ourselves. So if you ask yourself like exactly what Will said, like I'm having trouble with this, who can I hire to do this? I think if you go out to the market and you get feedback, you'll aggregate answers and get the right solution provider for you.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is Jean Francois, Will Land of Marketplace Valet. Appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah.
Two Ferns in Between.